So A Fistful of Dollars comes out in 1964 and basically creates the spaghetti western. Clint Eastwood shows up in a town, there are two rival gangs tearing the place apart, and he plays both sides against each other until they destroy themselves. Simple formula, right? Well, everyone else thought so too, because immediately after that, every filmmaker in Italy and half of Hollywood decided to make their own version of the exact same story. Some of them were terrible, but a few were actually worth watching. This one took the formula and made it a comedy. James Garner plays Latigo Smith, who's a con man, not a gunslinger. He shows up in this mining town where two rival mining barons are feuding, tearing the place apart over their claims. Except Latigo gets mistaken for a notorious gunfighter, and instead of correcting anyone, he sees an opportunity. Both mining barons want to hire this supposed gunslinger to take out the other side, so Latigo takes money from both of them. But he's not actually a gunfighter, so he can't do the job himself. He's got a partner with him, this unassuming guy, and Latigo starts passing him off as the real gunslinger. He's basically running a con where he's hired to eliminate people while keeping both sides convinced he's working exclusively for them. The whole scheme plays out exactly like Yojimbo or Fistful. Stranger shows up, manipulates two feuding groups, takes their money, keeps them fighting each other. Except instead of it being this grim, violent western, it's James Garner charming his way through everything and trying not to get caught. And of course, the ruse eventually falls apart when the actual notorious gunfighter shows up in town. Then Latigo has to figure out how to get out of the mess he's created. Minnesota Clay came out the same year as Fistful of Dollars. They were filming these things basically at the same time, and both films pulled from the same sources: Dashiell Hammett's novel Red Harvest and Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo. The setup is the Fistful formula. Old West Town, two gangs running the place. You've got a Mexican bandit named Ortiz on one side and a corrupt sheriff named Fox on the other, and then a gunslinger named Minnesota Clay shows up, played by Cameron Mitchell. But here's what makes it interesting. Clay's going blind. His eyesight is failing and he knows it, so he's trying to play these two factions against each other before he literally can't see well enough to shoot anymore. There's this ticking clock element where you're watching him pull off these schemes knowing that at any moment his vision could give out completely. This one doesn't even try to hide what it's doing. Tony Anthony made this Italian-American Western and just straight up copied A Fistful of Dollars. The main character is literally wearing a poncho. He's nameless, he wanders into a Mexican village, and he immediately starts scheming to get a cut of some hidden gold. There's a bandit gang and a unit of army deserters, and the stranger gets them to fight each other by lying to both sides. Classic Fistful setup, and just like in Sergio Leone's film, his double dealing catches up to him. They beat him almost to death when they figure out what he's been doing. But he survives, recovers, and comes back to turn the tables on everyone. It's the same arc as Eastwood's character in Fistful. The movie even mimics Sergio Leone's visual style and iconography. They weren't subtle about it. But here's the funny thing. It works. Yeah, it's a ripoff, but Anthony committed to it. He made a whole series of Stranger films after this, and they all followed the same template. It's like he looked at what Sergio Leone did and said, I'm just going to keep doing that exact thing, and somehow it turned into its own franchise. The filmmakers who created Sartana knew exactly what they were doing. They designed him as a smart gunslinger who profits by putting himself between two rival groups. Gianni Garco plays him as this dapper guy who rides into a town where a corrupt banker and a Mexican bandit have been stealing gold together. Except they're also double-crossing each other because neither one trusts the other. Sartana shows up, intercepts the gold for himself, and then just starts winding everyone up. The banker, the bandits' gang, bounty hunters who come looking for a score. He gets all of them going after each other while he watches the chaos unfold. The movie throws more factions at you, more betrayals, more layers. Sartana's sitting in the middle playing chess with everyone's lives, and he's 3 moves ahead the whole time. Sabata stars Lee Van Cleef going after corrupt town leaders who stole an army safe. Sounds like a straightforward revenge thing, right? But there's this character named Banjo. William Berger plays him as this cheerful drifter who's hiding a rifle inside his banjo, and Banjo's the one actually running the Fistful playbook here. He helps Sabata one minute, then he's working with the bad guys the next, always angling for whoever's going to pay him more. He's got the shifty loyalties, the scheming, all of it. Meanwhile, Sabata himself is pretty direct. He wants something and he goes after it. Eventually, Banjo's double dealing blows up in his face. There's a final duel, and it doesn't end well for him. The movie took the stranger playing both sides thing and gave it to the side character instead of the hero, and then showed what happens when someone tries to run that con but isn't actually good enough at it. Two gunmen roll into a town where a land baron and a gang of Mexican outlaws are secretly partners, both planning to screw the other one over eventually. Standard setup. The heroes could step in and play them against each other, but they don't. There's this saloon girl who figures it out instead. She's the one who sees how to use the mutual distrust between the gang leader El Condor and the town boss. She gets them turning on each other while the gunmen stay out of it and let her work. Same beats as Fistful. Stranger arrives, two groups, someone pits them against each other, everybody dies at the end. Except the movie hands the con to the woman working at the saloon instead of the mysterious gunslinger. Turns out she's smarter than everyone else anyway. Sergio Corbucci made Django the year after Fistful came out, and he wasn't subtle about borrowing the formula. But he added this insane visual. The main character drags a coffin behind him everywhere he goes. Just pulls this coffin through the mud into a border town that's being torn apart by two gangs. One gang is these ex-Confederate racists, the other is Mexican revolutionaries, and Django, played by Franco Nero, shows up and offers his services to both of them. He's playing the same game as the man with no name, getting them to fight each other while he pursues his own agenda. What made Django different was how grimy it was. The whole movie takes place in this mud-soaked hellhole of a town. Everything's covered in filth, and you spend the whole movie wondering what's in that coffin, and when you finally find out, it's worth the wait. By the end, both gangs are decimated and Django walks away. Same basic structure as Fistful, but it had its own identity. It got so popular that it spawned dozens of unofficial sequels. 2 years later, they made another Django movie, except Franco Nero wasn't available, so they got Terence Hill instead. Totally different actor playing the same character. Very Italian approach to sequels. This one's got a different setup but uses the same double-dealing mechanics. Django's working as a hangman, except he's secretly saving innocent men who've been framed by a corrupt politician. He fakes their executions, hides them away, and then assembles them into his own gang for revenge. The politician's got henchmen, and there's also a band of outlaws, and Django tricks them into fighting each other. He's pretending to work for the corrupt politician while actually undermining him the whole time. It's more of a revenge caper than Fistful, but it's got that same energy. One guy manipulating two sides until they destroy each other. This one's different because it's basically a comedy set during the Mexican Revolution. George Hilton plays a roguish gunslinger named Hallelujah who shows up in a town where revolutionary forces and a group of foreigners, including a Russian royal, are fighting over a chest of jewels. Hallelujah does missions for the revolutionaries. Then he partners with a Russian agent. Then he plays them both. The whole time he's just trying to steal the jewels for himself. The tone is tongue-in-cheek, almost campy at times, but the mechanics are pure Yojimbo. Two factions, one drifter, lots of deception. When his tricks finally get exposed, the two groups tear each other apart, and Hallelujah walks away with the treasure. It's lighter than the other movies here, but it proves the formula works even when you're not taking it deadly serious. Sometimes you can have fun with it. Last one's a buddy comedy western with Terence Hill and Bud Spencer, which sounds like it shouldn't work, but it does. There's an outlaw boss named Bill San Antonio who fakes his own death to steal a shipment of gold. Hill and Spencer track him to this frontier town where Bill set up this whole situation, his own gang versus a clan of thieves, both fighting over the gold. The two heroes walk into the middle of this mess and start fanning the flames. They impersonate members of one faction, spread rumors, intensify the distrust. Classic Fistful playbook, except there's two of them instead of one. The middle section is pure manipulation, watching these two guys profit from the outlaws' infighting and then mop up whoever's left standing. It all builds to this violent shootout over the gold where Bill's gang and the thieves basically wipe each other out because of what Hill and Spencer set in motion.